What is going on, guys? I hope you're having an amazing day. Today we're going to be looking at Ron DeSantis and his pro-slavery curriculum. So apparently Ron DeSantis has some type of curriculum now that says that black people benefited from slavery because they got jobs through the skill set that they acquired during slavery. Now, on one hand, while that may be true, it's just ridiculous. For instance, let me give you an example, right? Imagine somebody saying, hey, a store owner getting robbed is actually good for the store owner, right? For the store owner, because they actually get the experience of dealing with bad situations. So now they will be well equipped for another situation like that. On one hand, you're right, but come on. Doesn't make any sense, right? So basically, that's kind of how I look at this. When I think about it more and more, that's like kind of my thoughts on it. So let's think about this. Let's be pragmatic up in our approach here, right? If I'm Ron DeSantis and I want to win a presidential election, not governor, not mayor, not any of these, things. They're not small timers, still not those things. Presidential election. This is not the hill that I would die on. I'm sorry, I just wouldn't. There are so many policies, so many different movements going on right now that is not what I would have my focus on. Is seeing how black people benefited from slavery. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Even if it was true, which I don't think it is, as I explained at the beginning, I still think that it's just stupid. In the comment section below, do you think that it's good to be anti-woke for the sake of being anti-woke? Or do you think that it's actually good being anti-woke for the sake of fighting against actual wokeness and evil? And one more point before we get into this video. Why is it that the right is okay with intellectuals and academics up in this specific instance? For example, when it comes to critical race theory being taught in school, we all agree across the board, if you're Republican at least, that, for instance, that should not be taught in school, right? But now we agree that this should be taught in school, created by the same exact intellectuals and academics. All in all, this is very strange, and I think Ron DeSantis needs to get a new advisory team for this campaign, because this campaign is not running his way. To me, he's self-sabotaging himself by the day. It's just embarrassing at this point. But with that being said, let's get right into this video.
Backlash continues over Florida's new public school standards that require instructors to teach students that enslaved people develop skills which could be applied for their personal benefit. This time, the rebuke comes from two of the very few black Republicans in Congress. Congressman Byron called on Florida to correct his state's Black history standards, while Tim Scott of South Carolina, the only black Republican senator, said to a reporter, quote, "There is no silver lining in slavery. What slavery was really about was separating families, about humans, and even their wives. It was just devastating." He called on Florida, and especially those running for president, Ron DeSantis, to again clarify their positions. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris, who DeSantis keeps attacking in this Black history feud, says the new guidelines are about a larger agenda.
I do believe that we are witnessing a national agenda that is about a full-on attack against hard-won, hard-fought freedoms and rights. Consider this issue and then think about what is happening around a full-on attack on the right and the freedom to vote.
I just really don't like when she speaks sometimes, because first off, what are you saying? You're really not saying anything. When she speaks, she doesn't say anything, first off. And second off, if you guys don't know what she's referring to, I think it's probably the, voter ID right or act, basically, that was going to be passed saying that you're required to have an ID now. And basically she's saying, a lot of black people will get disaffected by that because they don't have IDs, which is in itself just weird to assume that black people don't have IDs. That's just funny to me. But that's what I'm assuming she's talking about right there. This is a full-on attack on voter rights, on these rights, on women's reproductive rights, all of this crazy stuff. Come on now. That's not, first off, that's not lump all of this stuff together. And second off, Ron DeSantis is in an own realm of his own at this point. I'm going to be honest with you guys. My 2024 vote right now is either going to Vivek and probably Trump. Trump's going to have to win me over now again, because I'm on Team Vivek right now. I'm going to be honest with you guys. But DeSantis isn't even up in that realm right now. He's a very effective governor. So let me not take that away from him. In terms of everything else, no, he's not really it right now. But let's keep going.
Joining me now is Dean Obeidallah, MSNBC columnist and host of the Dean Obeidallah Show on SiriusXM.
I don't know them.
And Brendan Buck, MSNBC political
you
analyst
guys know
and
them?
former aide to speakers John Boehner and Paul Ryan. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. My buddy Brendan, I'm going to start with you on this one, because this one cuts a little bit close to home for us. We can talk about Kamala Harris all day long and make it about her, but it really isn't.
No.
And I want to play for you real quick Ron DeSantis' response to Byron Donalds asking him to fix this.
Okay.
the end of the day, you got to choose. Are you going to side with Kamala Harris and liberal media outlets? Are you going to side with the state of Florida? And I think it's very clear that these guys did a good job on those standards. It wasn't anything that was politically motivated. These are serious scholars.
Is that not one of the most idiotic things that you guys have heard? Really, you can either you could choose between the state of Florida or Kamala Harris. No, it's not about Kamala Harris at all. Honestly, this is not about Kamala Harris. It's just about you shooting yourself in the foot when it comes to your political achievements at this point. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. I don't understand what's the point of you doing this. Like, actually, if I did want you to win, I would just be like, say I was a Ron supporter, a Ron DeSantis supporter, and I really wanted him to be president. Would you not be sad that he actually is endorsing this right now? Be honest. This is political suicide in the sense that what's the purpose of doing this? Like, I just don't understand the actual practical purpose of doing this. In a practical sense, even knowing this, even if you knew this stuff, what will this information actually do to further, your cause or anything like that? I just don't understand. Maybe I'm looking not too deep into it. That's probably it. Like, I'm not looking deep enough. Except from what I've seen already, it's just not making any sense. I don't know. Let's keep going. I digress.
So the question is, why can't he recognize in this moment that he's in the wrong lane on this? The idea that slavery somehow benefited black people, and then to have two black members of Congress from his party say to him, I think as politely as they could, because I certainly wouldn't have been as polite as they were in reprimanding him on this, that he still doesn't seem to get what they're saying and why he's tone deaf on this. Not asking you to get in his head, but the politics of this, I would think you would shift very quickly. Oh, my bad. But he's not doing that. What do you think's going on here?
Because he's incredibly stubborn. I mean, I think that pretty much is what the root of all of this. Look, we're on day 6 or 7 of Ron DeSantis having to, in some ways, look like he's defending slavery. I mean, this is supposed to be a campaign reset. This is not hard. This should have been flushed down the toilet in a single day.
Yes.
I don't think that Ron DeSantis actually thinks there were upsides to slavery, but I think he is so stubborn and unwilling to admit error at any point that he can't help himself but to engage in a fight. Just say slavery was abhorrent. There were no upsides. These guys drew up these standards. They missed on this one. We're going to cut that out. And the story goes away. Instead,
easily.
The week that he's supposed to be resetting, he continually looks like he's defending the situation. It's incredibly you and I have worked in politics for a long time. I cannot understand the thinking, the political strategy behind this. But I think it just comes down to his personality.
That's what I'm saying. What is the strategy in this? How is it that we're still talking about this? Well, no, it's okay. When I release this video, it's going to be like 2 weeks later. Except, how are we still talking about this now? How and why is this still going on? I don't understand how Ron DeSantis couldn't just say, hey, they were wrong. We're not really messing with all of that stuff right there. I'm going to correct it. And that's simple as that. Very easy. Except he said, oh, they did a good job. I think they did a good job, this and that. Even if something is the truth, which I don't believe that this is true, because I think that it's a false dichotomy, honestly. But even if you think that this is the truth, you have to know in your mind that if you want to unite the people as the president of the United States, that this is not the way to do it. Come on, Ron. Come on, Ron DeSantis.
Dean, I mean, that's the point. I mean, I get the personality in politics. I mean, Brendan and I have dealt with some personalities in politics, particularly on the Republican side, and that's all good. I mean, you know how to manage that. But then what I find troubling is to sort of, switch this over and try to make it about Kamala Harris, the vice president.
That's what I'm saying.
Who I think rightly called it out. What do you think of that part of the strategy? I mean, how do you think the public sees that, more importantly, trying to shift this back to her and making this somehow that, she is defending the indefensible?
Well, Michael, first of all, when Republicans are fighting each other, it brings me an inappropriate amount of joy. So can we just start from that point right there?
Okay.
Because you're easy to please. What can I say, right?
Second of all, let's take a step back here, guys, because you're looking at this like, well, Ron DeSantis is in the wrong. Well, I will tell you this. Overwhelmingly, Republicans support critical race theory bans, which is banning teaching black achievement and the suffering of black people at the hands of white people through time.
No. That is not what CRT is banning. It's mostly just banning the anti-white rhetoric up in these curriculums a lot of the times. Not the suffrage. Slavery is going to be taught in school and all of that stuff. Come on, let's not make things up. It's just not going to be, oh, because you're white, this, that, all of that stuff. Come on. Now, admittedly, I don't know the curriculum exactly, except from what I've read up on and from what I've heard other people say that I trust and know. I'm just going to assume that that's the case. I haven't delved super deep into it, except from what I understand, it's mostly about the anti-white rhetoric of today's white people. Of course, you can say, hey, the slave owners and all that stuff was bad. But of today's white people and how they should be, sorry for what happened and how they should basically just apologize, all of that stuff, you know what I mean? All like the theatrical stuff. So that's very false. This guy's already, bringing in false premises that I don't like.
Secondly, polls show that a majority of Republicans now think they are the biggest victims of discrimination more than black people. And I think this is all consistent with that.
Nobody's
and
a victim.
Other polling shows Republicans less supportive now of teaching any black history at all. So I actually think
I've never seen that.
We're in
I
the
got to see that.
You're thinking like a Democrat. I'm so happy about that for both of you.
Wait, hold on. I want to address 2 points. I've never seen the poll that he's talking about where, Republicans want to just get rid of all black history from the curriculum, if that's the case. I need to look that up. And second off, how he said that majority of white conservatives think that they're more oppressed than black people now. I don't think anybody's oppressed at this point in time. And if you think that, honestly, I just think it's hilarious at this point. Even if you're white and you think you're oppressed, come on now. Now, you can say that you're discriminated against. That's different than being oppressed, though. That's different than being oppressed, excuse me. So, yeah, if you want to say that you're a white person and you're discriminated against because, you can't say certain things. But even then, it's like, wait, that's kind of stupid because the laws and the, the bias being associated with that stuff is from other white people. It's usually like leftist white people telling white, right white people, people on the conservative side that you can't say these things. So it's white people really against other white people. So honestly, who's really being, oppressed here? Unless you want to say that your own people are oppressing you at that point, because come on, black people at this, for the most part, aren't checking white people or anything. From what I see, a lot of black people are pretty much chill with everything that white people say. But with that being said, let's keep going.
Reality for the GOP base, the idea of teaching slavery as an upside is consistent with white victimhood. And that is the currency of Donald Trump. And the idea of teaching black people suffered doesn't play well. Teaching that, hey, slavery was bad, but not as bad as you think. That plays well with the GOP base. That's what polling shows it. I'm not a Republican. I can't get in your mind. That's what polling shows them.
All right, since we're supposedly thinking so much like Democrats, so I want to say to you Democrats, why can't you seem to get your act together when it comes to Joe Biden and Bidenomics? What is the problem that you seem to have?
Oh, I don't care about this. Okay, hold on. All right, that's the end of the video. I think that's the end of the video. Yep, that's the end. He's talking about Bidenomics and all of that stuff. I don't care. So basically, essentially, at least from what I see, Ron DeSantis is catching flack because he is basically not denouncing a lot of the curriculum that he has just approved in terms of the pro-slavery aspects of things, which I think, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that it's self-sabotaging in a sense to not disavow that stuff? Because I don't see any way that you will unite the country to vote for you, or even the Republican Party, in general. How would you even get the Republican Party for the most part to vote for you? Because even them, from what I see a lot of, they're like, whoa, what are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? But with that being said, my name is yedotti. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Peace.